Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to the eighth episode of the Sabeen Foundation podcast, Geek Dhaba. Joining me today is almost everyone from our team, sans a couple of people. We have Junaid, we have Mubarak, we have Sohaib, we have Amar. The gang is all here. We're ready to go. Let's talk about DCEU. The Snyder Cut's coming out. We need to tear up every movie in the DCEU so that we can go forward and we can all talk about the things we liked and the things we didn't. What are your guys' thoughts going in so far? Let's start with Junaid.
Excited. I mean, we should have done this before, but okay, finally, we're going to do this now.
I think this was well overdue. I mean, when we did that Wonder Woman episode, we should have done this, but then it makes sense now. We're going in, we're gonna see what Snyder Cut's gonna be like, and before that, we have like our table cleared, we have everything in order. Let's see, Amar.
Oh, I personally cannot wait. This is going to be so much fun. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I'm going to praise a few things, rip apart a few things, be neutral about a few things. Let's see what happens. So, hey,
Yeah, I wish Asad could be here, but I'm alone here for the BBS side. But it'll be fun. It will be really fun. We have, uh, been discussing this on our WhatsApp, but it's time we bring this out in the public.
Couldn't couldn't agree more. So instead of talking about this a bit more, let's dive right into it. Let's start with the first movie. Came out in 2013, Man of Steel. We'll go talk about it a bit by bit as we go along in the same order we talked about everything else. But Man of Steel was a good movie. It was a good Superman movie. Um, I liked it. It coming off of the Nolan trilogy, seeing something a bit more grounded with Superman felt a bit different. It felt good, uh, and it was. What else can I say? It was a good movie. It explored the origins of Superman nicely. There were a couple of things I had like a problem with, but you can't beggars can't be choosers. I had yes that I don't think there are many fans out there who are genuinely okay with the neck snap. Um, there might be a few, but personally, as a fan of Superman growing up, I wasn't a fan of the neck snap. I mean, yes, Superman has killed a couple of people before, but not through that. But anyway, I digress. I like this movie personally. If I had my grade for this movie would be an A. Let's see what Junaid has to say about it.
Okay, yeah, I've seen a lot of Superman movies. I didn't like them, but this was better than before. I mean, Nolan, who can not like a movie which is directed and made by Nolan? I like the movie, but since I'm not a Superman fan, so it lies in between. I don't really love watching Superman, so I think it will be a B for me because I just watched it once or twice. After that, I didn't watch it at all. Mubarak.
I give it an A. I agree with Amir. After the Nolan verse, this grounded Superman felt more realistic. I'm actually cool with the neck snap. For once, it shows a hero faced with that moral dilemma. Something the Batman could never have done. Like, oh no, I can't kill the Joker. But I give it an A. Amar?
personally, yeah, I would give this movie an A. Mostly because it's an absolute, not a perfect movie, but it's a very good, realistic approach to Superman, especially in a modern world, like how things would happen. Um, People
Yeah.
like to mention some problems. I would like to address that real quickly. People had a problem with Superman destroying a lot of buildings. People had a problem with the whole Zod snap. People had a problem with the pacing. And people had a problem with a bunch of stuff. The whole what's that? I forgot the father's name. What was the father's name again? I
Jonathan Kent?
Jonathan Kent. Thank you. I don't know why I forgot that name. That whole
I mean,
scene when
or you
when
could
he
say Pa
saved
Kent.
when he saved the entire school bus, and then he basically implies you should have just let them die. So these problems, yes, it has these problems. But I see them more as a moral dilemma than a problem. So because you see
I'm gonna interrupt you here.
Yeah, go for it.
I thought you were gonna talk about the tornado scene where he just like does the hand thing.
Dude, that is just plot convenience. I left that alone a long time ago. It is by far the most stupidest thing I've ever seen in this entire movie, but I don't know what to say about it. I ignore it. Because at the same time, it brings back the initial points. It's a moral dilemma thing. Like, yeah, you should not have exploited your powers, but at the same time, you could not let them die. You should have saved your own father from a tornado, but you did not want to risk your powers being exposed. You want to save the world from a Kryptonian army, but you have no idea of what's going on in your surroundings because you have tunnel vision on Zod. So, and also, yeah, you snapped his neck because you could not think of flying everybody up. But then again, you also wanted to avoid the building smash thing, even though you destroyed 80% of the city already. So even though you gotta admit, when you think about it this way, it's a nice little comedy as well. It's a serious movie, but it has a nice little bit of comedy when you think about the plot holes. And that's the little entertainment I have. Also, by the way, that scream in the end, absolutely hilarious. After snapping his neck. But overall, in seriousness, it's a good movie. I would highly recommend someone watching it. It may not be everyone's fancy, but it is a good movie. So hey, take it away.
Yeah, about Man of Steel, I think I remember that the first time I watched it was in Dubai. I was on a trip, and I watched it. At night I wasn't really concentrating. I did not like the movie at first viewing, but then when I got back, I watched it again. I gave it another go, and then it started to build up. And in the second viewing, I think I liked it way more than when I watched it the first time. And sure, obviously the points that Amar noted are very valid. There are some plot holes, but I think the good parts cover up the plot holes better than we think. And the moral dilemma that Clark faced, and it was a very different Clark than we had usually seen in the previous Reeve and previous movies. So I really liked it. Cavill is a good Superman. The visuals of this movie, you can't say anything about Snyder, but his visuals are always amazing. And that first fight scene is, one of the most amazing scenes in all of comic book, history. The way that first fight takes place. So for me, it's an A. And since I'm also telling about Asad's grades, because Asad couldn't be here, we miss you. And surprise, surprise, he has an S. So
I like how we did. Asad, we miss you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in all, we have 4 A's, 1 B, and 1 S.
4 A's, 1 B, and 1 S. So the majority is authority in our little.
The B and S kind of cancel each other out
We go
to
with it.
average out to an A.
Yeah. It's like an average of an A and it's a majority of an A as well.
Now,
enough.
before we move on to the next show, I understand why Asad gave it an S. It has a lot of good stuff in there. It explores a lot of good stuff. But personally, it could have done just a little better. But Asad does have really valid points.
But then again, this was the very first movie of its kind, I guess. Okay, when I say very first movie of its kind, I mean like they were intending for that bigger universe when they came out with this movie. Whereas the Nolan trilogy, it's like that's it. It's within that 3 movies. It wasn't gonna go beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about the next movie. The movie that not many people know, and fans don't know this because we have like 20 fans at most. But we did a test episode just discussing this movie.
Oh
And that
God!
episode is not.
Nobody talks about that episode, man.
Okay, that episode was not good. But Batman versus Superman. The movie that I would say would technically be a pile of steaming hot garbage. But Zack Snyder may not be a great storyteller, but he is a great action director and he is a great person for when it comes to bringing comic book scenes to life. Seeing that fight between Batman and Superman on screen, I mean, if this movie is bad, watch it just for that fight. That fight is
Mm,
amazing,
yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If nothing else, watch it for that Doomsday fight, especially the scene where Batman recreates the scene from Dark Knight Returns, an homage to one of the stories that he is adapting onto screen. It is just like visually, this movie is great. The action in this movie is fantastic. Story fell flat for me, right?
Mm,
I know we all don't agree on that, but for me, the story fell flat. It could have been much better in my opinion, but it's not the worst DC movie and it's not the best DC movie. If I had to put Batman vs Superman somewhere, it would be dab smack in the middle of the tier, in my
mm.
opinion. But let's hear what everybody else has to say first.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I had some complaints about this movie, but I love the movie. The only complaints I had were number one, it was dark. Not in the way that it's dark night, but it's dark, as in the brightness. And the second thing was, why do you bring out Lex when you would not use him? He was just like a third person just watching a fight. Ah, okay, what happens next? But again, coming back to Omar's point, uh, the fight was just perfect, and it had some homage to the Nolan trilogy. For me, many of you will go against me, but for me, this will be an A category movie.
Okay, so if I want to be biased, I'll put it in a C. But since this has good and bad, it's one of those movies, you know, where it's like if you like it, it's bad. If you dislike it, it's bad. You just have to be neutral and just accept it. For me, it's a B. I like the action. I don't like most of the characters. Lots of wasted potential, but it was a good introduction of Batman into this universe and his motivations and his I don't know. His action scenes were just like top notch. Like oof. Like the warehouse fight. Oh, delicious stuff, man. I remember watching that in the cinema and I was just like, oh my god, it's just so epic. So epic. And I think the Arkham game series had just come out at that time, so it was like that translation onto like the silver screen was just fantastic for me. I'm not gonna deny the action alone puts it higher up, but like for everything else as a C, I'm going with a B. Amar.
Okay, I have a lot to say about this movie, but I am gonna try to keep it brief. There are a lot of plot holes. There are so many plot holes in this movie, so much that you basically can just put it on a burger. It's that much cheese with holes in it. Very bad analogy, I know, just like the movie. But so, but let's look at the good points here. The fight scene, I agree with everybody, absolutely amazing. The introduction of Wonder Woman was absolutely phenomenal, especially with that theme song. As soon as the shield moves away, the theme song starts playing and you see her. Absolutely amazing. Honestly, if I were to play a scene on loop with music constantly, it would be that scene. Because that scene is the one scene that made me get hyped. I actually got off my seat as soon as that happened. Like, oh my God, it's happening. But if you focus on the other aspects of this movie, it butchered what I love the most about a Batman v Superman mashup, and that is the relationship between Batman and Superman. It butchered that one beautiful thing. Like, what if I have made this statement so many times on every conversation I've had with someone about BVS, is that if I had a choice to change some aspects of this movie, I would keep the two fight scenes, but I would incorporate the 2 or 3 episode mashup of the Superman animated series called World's Finest. I would recreate that, but with changing aspects to keep Doomsday, but maybe not let Superman die because that was too early.
Yeah.
If you want to introduce Doomsday, go ahead. I have no problem with you introducing Doomsday. I have a problem with you recreating the death of Superman so early in the second movie. But moving past that, everything else is perfect. But if you would like to build up the relationship like they did in World's Finest, maybe taste things up a little, have them deal with each other properly instead of just ripping the top of a Batmobile and then suddenly, oh, we're enemies now. But then you suddenly find out that you both have the same mother name. You're like, oh, we're best friends now. So, oh, and it just hit me. The two more things that I absolutely love about this movie is one, Batman's costume. Not his armored one, his main one. It is by far, I will stand by it. It is the best interpretation of a Batman costume on screen that we have so far. And the second scene is the entire scene when he's trying to save Martha Kent in that entire warehouse scene. That was amazing. It had this Arkham Asylum vibe to it, like Batman Arkham Asylum vibe going on to it.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it. If I were to just look at all these alone, I would easily give it an A. But the story was too long. It dragged out. Lex Luthor was like Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Or was it which one was it? Yeah, the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah, it was Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like if you took Indiana Jones away, the movie is the same thing happens in that entire story. I think it was Raiders. I don't remember the exact one. But
I think it's Raiders.
Yeah, it was Raiders. It's the same thing with Lex Luthor. You take Lex Luthor away, everything except for the Doomsday thing, everything will be the same, more or less. So it's the thing because of the story that, and even one last thing. When they released the director's cut of BVS, they only added a half an hour, and that half an hour added nothing.
Yeah.
So true.
I thought Watchmen was disappointing after releasing a director's cut. This was worse. But yeah, because of the long, annoying, dragged story, was not worth that much of a wait. I will unfortunately have to give it a C.
Okay.
Sohaib, you're up.
Yeah, I'm fine. But yeah, for me, I love this one. It's not a hidden secret to my crew members, and it's not a hidden secret to the world anyway. When I was watching this movie, I was hyped as hell. I watched it like a lot of times, and I enjoyed every time. And some things that there are plot holes. I would never say it's a perfect movie. There are problems. The death of Superman came too early. Number one, I would not have put Doomsday there. I agree with that. There are problems with being too much in one movie. I believe that is a major problem that I believe that BVS was handling, which probably adds over to the studio because they try to do too much with this movie. But other than that, for me, it's an amazing movie, right? I enjoyed every time I watch it. Batman's amazing, Superman's amazing. Wonder Woman's entry was like, oh, come on. And I know I will not go into all the Martha scene and all the explanation towards that because I have that explanation, but it's going to take too long anyway. But anyhow, for me, it's a great movie. It's very entertaining. It's the visuals are amazing, the fight scenes and everything that obviously everybody else has already said. It's an A for me, and also it's an A for Asad, and which puts our voting grades at 3 A's, 2 B's, and 1 C, which gives BBS an A in our tier list.
Wait, how?
Here.
And that was the surprise because if we average it by formula, it's a B, but by majority voting, it's an A. So now put BBS in A and watch how I smile throughout the rest of the episode.
Wait. Explain to me
I
how
feel
it's an
like
A again.
I've suddenly indoctrinated
Junaid,
into a
Asad, and
cult.
I gave it
I feel
A's.
like a cultist now. What? Junaid, you too?
What?
Yes, that was a surprise for me. That was really the surprise for me when I got the
No,
grades.
this is horrible. Is it actually an A? No, that's a desecration to the grade.
That's why I just said
And
three
that
lines
is
and then
why
I
I
got
did not
quiet.
tell the way the grades went.
Ugh.
That's the reason I stayed quiet after saying three lines because I know where it was going.
Okay, we're all part of the Snyder cult now.
Oh
Well
God.
then, okay. To get that bad taste out of my mouth, let's get another bad taste in our mouth with our next movie, Suicide Squad. Now, the reason why I didn't want BVS to be a steaming pile of hot garbage is because this movie is a steaming pile of hot garbage. I have never seen a movie so bad in my life. What was the point of this movie? It didn't accomplish anything. If this movie could be solved by saying if this movie never existed, the problem itself would never have existed. Everything in this movie is a product of its own fault. I mean, why? I mean, yes, people went to go watch it, and don't lie. People went to go watch it because of Margaret Robbie, and you all know it.
And
And maybe Will Smith as Deadshot. Maybe. That is the only reason anybody went to go watch this movie. And me and Amar watched it late. We watched it a year or two late, right? And we watched it during Ramadan, and we had to clean ourselves after watching this movie because we felt so dirty after watching this hot mess. My
It could go
grade is a
both ways.
D.
It could go both ways.
My grade is a D. It's a D. It's a D. If there was a tier lower than D, I'd put it there. Junaid.
Okay, I wouldn't slaughter the movie like that, but still, I mean, it was mostly a bad movie. But as you already explained it, I liked it for three reasons. Again, Harley did what Harley is. Joker, I didn't like Joker much, but the scene where the laugh came, where he was sitting with all those knives covered and he just laid down with that laugh, I can put it on repeat again and again. And yeah, Will Smith as usual. Will Smith did make it a bit better. Other than that, it wasn't really. I wouldn't really watch it a lot of times. It was a bad movie, but it was worth a watch. So I wouldn't slaughter the movie, but I wouldn't like place it at the as super tier. So I would just place it at the middle. So I would give it a B.
Okay, so my very first screening of this, I had just gotten off the plane. I was in the Philippines, and there was a show playing, and all us cousins were like, "Okay, let's go watch it." I fell asleep somewhere midway. I have no idea where. I mean, I don't know if it's the jet lag or the movie, but okay. But then I watched it again, okay, objectively the next time. As much as bad as it is, it's not, I don't hate it, okay? I like the Suicide Squad as a concept. I like the introduction of the characters. I just sat there, just watched the action. I was okay with it, okay? It's not that bad. I have a friend who absolutely hates this movie, and I understand why, but I can't give this a D. This is like high C, low B. You know what? Let's just put in B for me.
The blasphemy.
Sorry, I just had to.
I can shatter everyone's thought about this movie with one thing. This movie would not have existed if it wasn't for its own self. Think about
That's
it.
what I said.
I don't mean, think of it this way. If
I know
Amanda
you're having a
Waller,
bad week. I get
if,
it.
um, if Amanda Waller did not put together the Suicide Squad, we would not have had this movie. Not in the way you think. We would not have had a villain. We would not have had all the cliches redone. We would not have them be drinking in a bar and only to recreate the most least known villain of the DC universe just to get him killed for redemption. And again, I want to reiterate this one point. Amanda Waller created their own villain. Everything that happened is because Amanda Waller decided, let's put villains together. Nothing can go wrong. Everything went wrong.
Okay, just adding to one point. Sorry for this. Sorry for the
Sure, sure.
disturbance. I did not know this was the DC movie when it came out. I thought it was a parody or something. Dead honest. Dead honest.
Okay, okay. Let me add one more thing. Jared Leto, what were you thinking?
I don't talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. No.
That okay. The only thing grateful about Jared Leto as a Joker, he had the absolute least screen time, so he saved his own ass.
Okay, and I'm calling it now before Snyder Cut releases. Joker is gonna be absolutely useless in Snyder Cut. I'm calling it now.
He's in it
You
for
can
4
quote me on
minutes.
that.
He's in it for 4 minutes.
Wow, 4 whole minutes.
It's a
That's-
cameo, bro.
okay,
They're not
that's-
supposed to
that-
do anything useful in 4 minutes.
That's 3 more than Suicide Squad.
Leave that for the Snyder Cut. Leave that for the Snyder.
But
What's your
okay,
grade, Amar?
my grade is a D. My grade is a D. It had so many problems, and I swear this was made just so they can have something to do in the middle, in between BVS and Justice League. I don't know. So yeah, so here, take it away.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an okay movie. I mean, Harley's good. Margot Robbie is right. A great Harley. Will Smith did a good Deadshot. Amanda Waller's acting, I mean, the actress, I don't remember her name. She was really good. I mean, as an Amanda Waller from the comics, her demeanor as an Amanda Waller was really good. And the villain was shit. The ending was shit. The Joker introduction or the entire whatever you call it, the cameo or whatever was shit. But it had some fun moments. I wouldn't give it a D. I will give it a B. For what it's worth, it was. I mean, I wasn't really very bored throughout this movie, except for the end part. The final third act is boring, and it's between this light shooting into the sky with a ticking timer cliche that we all have. It worked for Avengers. It didn't work for Suicide Squad. But yeah, it's a B for me, and it's a D for Asad, which brings the total to 3 Bs and 3 Ds equal to a 1 C.
A C.
A C.
Oh my god, shattering all expectations, this tier list. But we can quickly just get past the next movie pretty easily. I'm pretty sure we're all on the same page with this one. Wonder Woman. Fantastic when it came out. Still good today. Still highly relevant today. It was a great movie. I enjoyed watching it. I won't say it's S tier, but it was definitely worth an A rank, like straight off the bat. Great stuff, my opinion. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, okay. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't put it two at the top, I believe. So I mean, it was good. I don't know why I'm giving it a B, but it was a mix between A and B, so I picked the lower one. So that's why I'm giving it a B. Overall, it was a good movie, a good storyline, kind of representing the comic book also. But I'll put it forward to Mubarak.
I love this movie. It was okay. So apart from that fight, that end scene, that end battle, and it was really really dark, even in the cinema. I still give this an S. I really enjoyed this movie. Amar?
Long story short, I would give it an A. It was a very good movie. It wasn't perfect. It had some issues that I will address, like maybe two of them when I'm done talking about it. Um, the story was absolutely amazing. It built up Diana's story very well. It built up the Amazonians very well. Built up her origins very well. The scene again in No Man's Land, absolutely amazing. You
Mm.
can, it is probably the best cinematic scene in the entire movie. Now, the two problems I had with this movie, one, the plot twist of Ares. It was cool at first. It just seems weird now, if you think about it. And second, the 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 power of love literally saved Diana. And we thought 84 was bad. This is the two major gripes I have, but because there are two and they are very minor compared to how the rest of the movie built everything up and how it handled things, I would give it an A. So Abe, take it away.
Yeah, I would pretty much have the same issues that Amar had. I love this movie. I did not enjoy the third act, and that is exactly why this movie, for me, like the No Man's Land scene is just beautiful, and even after the fight scene in the village, continuing on that, those like 15 to 20, 15 minutes of that movie was so exhilarating. Like even for that scene alone, I would give it an S. But just for the third act, that Ares plot twist did not sit well with me, and the end was okay at best. So for me, it's an A as well, and for Asad, it's an A as well. So that's four A's, one S, and one B. So that's it, A.
That puts it to an A.
A.
That was very similar to Man of Steel, in my opinion. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Exactly, it's actually the same grades: four A's, one B, and one S.
Exactly. All right. So let's talk about that next movie. The next movie that we're going to be talking about is a movie. It's a movie. It's definitely just a movie. Let's skip this one. It is.
Sure.
It is exactly what Snyder wanted. No one can convince me otherwise. I'm kidding. But honestly, this movie, when I first watched it, I didn't think it was good. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was meh. And even now, I think it's just meh. It's not. But honestly, it could be just because when I moved to a new house in Islamabad a year or two back, this was the only movie on my laptop, and I watched it 10 times. So I hate it. Because that was the only thing I had to watch. We didn't have internet for 3 days. So like this was the only movie I could watch when we lived in that house. So I watched it 10 times in 3 days. I hate this movie. It can die in a dumpster fire. But it's not worse than what I would have given to Suicide Squad. It's a C for me. That's all I have to say. I just move on. Janae,
Okay.
take it away. Take it away from me.
Sure. Okay, so you'll hate me for this, but for me, I will give it an A, just because just bear with me. I'm giving it an A for now. If my grades can change after the Snyder Cut. The only reason I'm giving it an A is because all of them got combined, so we can see all of the heroes in one movie. The last movie, to be honest, I don't really remember most of the parts. I saw it again yesterday to just recall what happened. So the Steppenwolf whole fight scene and the Baron, the Flash introduction. I mean, at least Batman's doing some part of it, some part of what he was supposed to do. I don't hate it for now. It all depends on what happens after the Snyder Cut. So I'm giving it an A just for now. Don't bash me for it. Mubarak, take it away.
And this will be Junaid's last episode with us, sadly.
Definitely.
And we will be live streaming the funeral. Don't worry. For me, I didn't hate this movie. I didn't like it. I hated this movie. I hated this movie, but not. I don't put it in a D. I'll give it a C. Amar?
Where do I begin? I would personally just flat out, I'd give it a C. It did some good things. It did a lot of bad things. So many bad things. What were we talking about? uh, but seriously though, yeah, the Justice. I got to see the Justice League in action. It's a shame it was in very pukish orange red thing that happened over there. The parademons were awesome. Um, Seeing the Flash and Aquaman, honestly, they were the best things in this entire movie. Even though they have as much screen time as Joker and Suicide Squad. But, in all seriousness, though, this movie tried its best to be good, but there were some aspects that were just off its element, if that makes sense. Like it tried to stick with one thing, but then sometime in the middle, it just changed it. And we all know the reason why, and that's why it, in my opinion, failed. It had this. I don't mind. I don't mind it changing its pace. I mind it being just direct. Like 1 minute it's all gritty and dark. Next thing you know, literally the next second humor, which just seems off. Like you have. It worked for Avengers because it was set up this way. The world is built. It doesn't start with grit and then start with comedy immediately. It builds up its situation and then uses that to try to balance both. And I know I am a DC fan, but Marvel did something right. Right? So at least follow that. It didn't. And that's my gripe. I'm going to just cut it brief now because I know I'm going to black out.
They literally hired the director of Avengers, and the only instruction they said was give us Avengers.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. You see now. No. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Zach had some work with this movie, and it showed. He had some aspect that they did, and the fact that they blended Joss's ideas into it. They didn't even bother working with it. He's just like, oh, okay, I see you added all this grit. Add a joke in there. Problem solved.
Amar, listen, your entire argument is solid, but like you have to realize that the executives at Warner Brothers literally gave Joss Whedon a post-it note that said, "Give us Avengers," and that was it.
Yeah.
And then he did the rest.
Honestly, he should just go back to Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
What's your grade, man?
Overrated.
My grade is a C. If I were to talk about it any further, I'm pretty sure I'll black out in anger. So take it away.
Okay. For me, the description of this movie is probably from a dialogue from within this movie. Something's definitely. So, yeah, because it's for me, this movie is like the actually opposite of Man of Steel. When I watched it the first time, I was okay with it because of the nostalgic part. Because I was already to finally see the Justice League on the big screen. But every time I watch this movie, I hate it even more. And I think I've got to the point where I can't hate it further anymore. That's like end point for that. And something's definitely bleeding in my head after watching this movie for now. So it's a D for me. Sorry. But I don't enjoy it. I did not enjoy it. And you can replace my face with, Sheldon Cooper shouting, "We done!" And that was pretty much me.
Perfect.
What's Asad's score?
So that's a D for me. And Asad is also a D. So that's 1B, 3 C's, and 2D, which gives it C.
I give it an A. I give it an A.
Oh, sorry, A. 1A. Sorry, my bad. 1A.
So what
3
you're
C's
saying
and 2D.
is we have 3 C's
Still a
and
C.
we have 2 D's. We don't know who this other person
And
is
1
who
A.
keeps saying an A.
Look,
Yeah.
I have my reasons.
I am sure you have your reasons, but we'll let you say those reasons when we come to beat you up.
I just want to say one thing. It's a good thing you're in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Hmm.
You're really lucky.
literally
You're really far away.
you're lucky you're an expensive plane ride away.
Or or maybe it's just because I watched it twice, not 10 times like you guys.
That's
Okay. I watched it
probably
once and I didn't like.
I only watched the movie 3 times, and I know it more than anyone else.
Okay, let's move on before we get into
Moving,
another
yeah.
test episode level argument.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so talk about the next movie, Aquaman. I was not thrilled about this movie when it was announced, especially because I feel like this movie should have come out before Justice League.
Yeah.
agreed.
Right? This movie would have been a good entry before Justice League even came out, before Justice League was even conceived as a movie. This should have been a movie. But despite that, it gave me everything I wanted. I wanted Black Manta in that movie, I got it. I wanted Ocean Master in this movie, I got it. I wanted the coming of age story where he tries to accept his role in Atlantis. I got that. I got everything I wanted from this movie, despite its timing being off. Because they literally wrote off the Justice League movie in one dialogue in this entire movie, and they acted independently from it, which was a good approach. If it had come out before Justice League in the timeline, I would have given it an S rank easily. But because of that one little issue, I'm always going to have Justice League is already formed. You've already proven yourself as Aquaman. You've been to an outpost in Atlantis before seeing Atlantis. You've done all this already. And that's like the only thing that bugs me about this movie. But apart from that, and despite all of that, I'm going to give it an A. That's my opinion. An A for this movie. Junaid, take it away.
Yeah. Okay. For me, this movie was just, yeah, as you said, this movie should have come before Justice League. And for me, this movie was picture perfect, as you can say. Now, after the movie, I changed my mind about Amber. F you, Amber. Anyways, so just just know I watched it way before, otherwise I would have maybe boycotted it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I watched it. Jason Momoa, picture perfect. It followed the DCAU exactly how I wanted it to be. It followed the comics. It gave us the proper Aquaman which we deserved. And for me, I would give it an S. Mubarak, take it away.
Okay, I love this movie. I'm almost exactly the same as Umair. Timing was off. Okay. Also, one thing that bugged me a lot was the costume design and changes from Justice League. I mean, like, what was going on there? I mean, I know you guys want to sell toys, but this is ridiculous, man. Why would you downgrade from Justice League? It didn't make sense at all. Apart from that, fantastic movie. I'm giving it an A. Amar?
Oh, I'm definitely gonna get some pitchforks and torches over here. Um, this movie was really good. I'm not denying that this movie was good, but it tried to be an origin movie after a major event in a DC extended universe, and that is honestly my biggest gripe with this movie. Like you are being Aquaman in Justice League, then you are exploring. You could be Aquaman in an Aquaman movie. So yeah, this is my biggest gripe with this movie. Apart from that, I watched this before I found out about the whole Amber Heard thing, and despite that, let's face it, her in a mirror suit, I'll take that any day. So, and I know a lot of you will agree with me, despite everything.
Except
But moving,
probably everyone.
yeah,
No.
but my man, you are spared. You are spared from my beatings. But yeah, I wanted Black Manta because Black Manta would have been perfect in this movie. Not only did we get Black Manta, we got the most perfect Black Manta. I could not have asked for a better Black Manta. Ocean Master could have had some work. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of like being a Brave and the Bold version of Ocean Master, while at the same time, you kind of got a bit of Jupiter Ascending in there. And That is my major problem, and it kind of ruins most of the movie for me. Despite it being decent, but I personally give it a B. So hey, take it away.
Yeah, for me, I like this movie. I enjoyed it thoroughly. The visuals are amazing. Jason Momoa is great as Aquaman, and one thing for sure that I don't think everybody mentioned, he rocked that yellow and green costume, didn't he? Like, we make fun of Aquaman's costumes, in cartoons, but for me, when he came out in that suit, it suited him really well. And props for DC, to pulling that off. But overall, I agree with Umar and Amar that it should have come before Justice League. This is a major problem that this movie faces. It's the time that it's been put in. But if other than that, it's a very entertaining movie. It's a very visually beautiful movie. Black Manta is amazing. Uh, Amber Heard has the problems, but she's good as Mera for now. Um, so for me, it's an A. It's an A. It's a clear A for me. And for Asad, it's an S. So that's two S's, three A's, and one B. So Aquaman's in
So
the A category as well.
A for Aquaman.
A
Also, I have
for-
one gripe with you, Sohaib, about the costume.
Yeah.
After his armored look in Justice League, how could they do this? The orange and green. Like, how does that work? That's okay. That's
Again,
my personal gripe. The
again,
costumes, like
it
Aquaman
works.
should be before. Yeah,
It-
it
it works. It works on its own, but not in a continuity.
Again,
Agreed.
I agree, but then again, back to my problem. It tried to be an origin movie after the events of Justice League.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Why don't you just watch it as an origin movie instead of just combining it? with
Because they
Justice
talk about the Justice League in it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Oh,
League? Just,
That's the
just
problem. It's not independent. It's not like Wonder
yeah,
Woman.
yeah.
Okay. Next movie. One
Shazam.
word. Shazam. Love
this is an
this
independent movie.
man.
This I would say, yeah,
I agree.
independent.
I love Billy Bastion as a character. I loved his New 52 story arc. I love this. I love Shazam as a character altogether. I mean, and this movie was everything. I watched it with Asad. I watched it with Sameen. I watched it with Amar, members of our podcast. We watched it together in cinema in Dubai, and it was just amazing. Like, this is a treat to watch. This movie,
Mm.
of every movie that the DCEU has ever released, is a treat to watch. Visually, storytelling wise, everything. It is just my favorite movie in the DCEU, and I have to give it an S. That's it. It's an S rank for me on this. All right, Junaid, I'll let you take it
As
away.
for Shazam,
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't really know this movie came out before. I always thought Zachary was just imitating Shazam, and I was just confused. But after I found out it was a movie, before I thought it was maybe a part of a TV show from CW or something. But then I watched the movie, and yeah, we can take the word Shazam anywhere. We can make it any word we want. And yeah, Billy, just one word, Shazam, and it goes in the S category. I can watch it any day of my life and not get bored. Mubarak.
I have one minor gripe.
Mhm.
Okay, in Shazam form, in adult form, he's a little too kiddish, but then in his 12-year-old form, he's a little too emo. That's the only thing that's the one divide that really put me off. But removing that, and you take everything this movie had to offer, and how separated it was from the Justice League, it was refreshing. I enjoyed it. I give it an S. S for Shazam. Amar.
Okay. Before I give my points, I want to state about your little gripe, Mubarak. I understand.
Yeah.
It's a very valid point, but I actually have a counter argument for that. Two counter arguments, in fact. One, with how Billy Batson had to deal with things in his life till how he got to be Shazam, it honestly explains it. He had a rough childhood, and that's why he's a little emo. So everybody knows him as that way. But him as Shazam, okay, you have powers. You're turn from a kid to an adult. You would be excited about that as a kid, to
Okay.
to some extent.
Okay,
Uh,
okay. To some extent, I'll
Yeah.
take that. Like he, forgot his problems and he was a
Yeah.
different person. Yeah. Okay.
That's one.
But
And
yeah.
yeah, and then there's the second. It differentiates the two, which means it's difficult to pinpoint the two together.
Okay. There, I'll let you have that one.
Okay.
So we have that
Uh,
contrast. Okay.
Yeah. So
But
now,
emo
yeah.
Billy Batson was a little
Yeah.
too old and a little too
Mhm.
emo for a 12-year-old.
Yeah. But to
Okay.
be fair, the way things were going for him, especially in the third
Mm.
act, about how things were with his mother, you can,
Ooh.
yeah. So if when you see that, you understand. It makes sense. But
Okay.
yeah, so now with the way I do it, handles comedy and action very well. I love the whole say my name and gain my powers. What name? Shazam. Are you for real? So yeah, that scene I loved. And then when the scene, uh, our spoiler without context moment, grabbing up the pole, say my name to gain my powers. Billy, no, the name I used to get become this thing. Oh, Shazam! That all of that was perfect. That handled it well. Them being the Shazam aspect was amazing. Billy
Family.
Batson, yeah, the Shazam family. Oh my god! If I ever want to do a group cosplay, it's up there on my list. Because I would love to do
I
that.
think we can. I think we're enough people to do it.
It's plausible. We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
But
Mumbai can be Darla.
but
I wanted to be the Asian one, but okay.
now there's a reason why his name is Shazam, and that's because this is an S movie. So here, take it
Ayo.
away.
All right, so Shazam. The S joke was done by everyone, so I won't be doing that now anymore. but yeah, I love this movie. Funnily enough, and I went to watch it. We were the only ones in the entire cinema, so we had it all to ourselves, and we had a very good time watching this movie. The casting of this movie is perfect. The story was great. Dr. Savannah was an amazing villain. You understand his motives. That's one of the big things around comic book movies these days. That you have to understand the motives of the villain. Um, Shazam was great. All in all, this movie was fun. It was great. It had heart. It did everything that it was supposed to do, and it's a clear S for me. And it's an S for us, and it's an unanimous 6 S's to make it go into the S. Our first
This is
I
the
think
first time.
S.
I think that was a unanimous agreement. Okay, next movie. Let's breeze through the next two really quickly.
Yeah.
Birds of Prey. I hate this movie. I hate it. I hate it. Nothing else to say. It's not because like women empowerment, this and that, blah blah blah. It wasn't because of that. I hate it because Black Mask is barely in it. I hate it because the Birds of Prey team up was meh and underwhelming. I feel like this entire movie can be summarized with the word underwhelming, and I have to give it a D. That's all I have to say.
For me, it was just a movie about Harley. I didn't see any other woman like maybe brought up in a way. For me, it was like from the starting till the end, it was more about Harley, 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 and hence I'm giving it a B. Mubarak.
Wasted potential, okay, but I do not hate it per se, but a lot of wasted potential. Like they could have done much more with this. For me, it's a C. Amar?
Flat out D. Mostly because this movie had so many problems with not exactly with the women empowerment thing. I absolutely loved it. I loved the characters they picked. They were just implemented so poorly.
Hmm.
And it felt like more of a sequel to Suicide Squad, which actually adds to the stupidity. So
Kind of was it not?
It kind of was, but at the same time, no. It kind of tried to be a sequel, but at the same time, it's all independent chick flick thing.
Oh,
I don't have
Mr.
a-
J.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that aspect. I had a problem with how they handled the characters, and that's
Yeah.
my only gripe. And
Mm.
it would have been much better if they handled the group better, if they actually dealt with aspects of being the birds of prey instead of just a one-liner in the end.
But we'll accept it.
But it's fine. I think we have your grade anyway.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
take it
him-
away.
So take it
Dave
away.
has something special for us.
All right, I am just going to explain this with a video that I have. Yeah, it's that.
It's
So-
bad.
So it's a D for me. I don't want to say anything else. I mean, oh, sorry. So, yeah, I hate this movie. I did not enjoy it. Well, there was an award, David D, and and it's a B for Asad. So that makes it 3 Ds, 2 B, and 1 C. It's the first D of our DCEU.
There's
Okay.
Who gave it a B?
Junaid.
Who,
Asad.
who gave it the other B? You said
Asad.
2 Bs.
Asad.
Oh,
Asad. Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Our favorite movie.
the last movie, which we will not talk about because we have our entire episode dedicated to our thoughts on this movie, which you can see in the card above. So you can just watch that to figure out exactly what our in-depth thoughts about this movie are. But I hated it, but it's not worse than Birds of Prey. I'm going to give it a C.
I'll give it a D. You can watch the episode and see why. Mubarak.
I'll give it a C.
I'll
Watch the
give it.
episode. Yeah, you watch, everyone just watch the episode.
It's a high C for me. Yeah. So
Yeah, you guys really need to watch that episode. It's a C for me and a C for Asad as well. It's a 5 C's and 1 D, gives it a C.
It's our very first episode. Make sure to check it out. We'll have a link somewhere.
we'll put a card in the corner, or we'll put
It's a
and we'll
card
put,
in
and
the
we'll put the link. It'll be a card.
In the description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we'll put a card in the top, and if you don't want to go to the card in the top, we'll put a link to the description below.
Definitely.
Yes.
Works.
The B looks pretty lonely. Can I just go ahead and put BVS there?
No.
That's cheating. That is cheating, and you know it.
No.
There.
Okay, guys, that is our ranking for the DCEU. Now, I'm definitely looking forward to the Snyder Cut coming out next week.
Maybe
Yes.
that's a B.
Yeah.
Zach, you do great work. Right, 300, Watchmen, amazing stuff. I have high hopes for Snyder Cut, despite not being a big fan of the DCEU as a whole. I have big hopes for the Snyder Cut. I hope you do well. This is our well-wishing message out to you. If anybody else has anything to say, that they can. And apart from that, that's all from my side.
Yep.
Yeah, we're looking forward to this. It's I have totally forgotten Justice League by this point. I have not watched it any time after that. So I'm going to go into the Snyder Cut with a very fresh mind. I will go neutral into this. Very fresh mind and neutral. I'm not going to have previous biases affect me.
I have high hopes for the Snyder Cut. And long story short, so far everything looked amazing. I would love to see how it's implemented when Zack Snyder has complete creative liberty of a property, because when he does that, he handles it so well. So
Okay.
I would love to see that. So Hib?
And
So hey, you and I, let's have a wager.
Crossed. All right. What do you have in mind?
Let's have a little wager. Okay. If it's good, I
Mhm.
will do some dares for you.
Shave your head.
And if it's bad, okay,
Right.
you will have to do something for me. We'll let the audience decide what we want, like what we're gonna do. Let's have this friendly wager for
You're on.
the Snyder Cut. All right.
You're on.
I mean, how do I do this, huh?
Those
How
scissors,
did I do
those
this?
scissors you were waving around was pretty ominous.
We fist bump our cameras.
Okay, see you guys,
See you, everybody.
and we're out.